Hi, everybody. Steve Albrecht from the Safe Library and Library20.com with Layla, the Wonder Beagle, talking about restraining orders. There are people in your library who may come in who are patrons that you have a restraining order against. Another possibility is there are two patrons who have restraining orders against each other. I've seen that in a kind of a neighborhood war type of a thing. It's possible that you have female patrons in domestic violence situations. And we have same-sex DV, but mostly female victims of domestic violence may have a TRO against their former spouse or partner, and these can be very volatile and dangerous. I want to talk about a couple things with restraining orders. One, it has to be valid, meaning it is not expired. They typically are either what's called an EPO or an emergency protective order, or it is something that has gone to court and it is a permanent restraining order. Sometimes they call it TRO or stay away order. Those can last for up to 3 years. So if it is still valid, meaning it is still active and it's not expired, that's one issue to look at. If you look at the paperwork with anybody that shows it to you. And the second thing is that it has been served to the person who is the restrained party. The other possibility is you have employees who have a domestic violence history. They may have somebody in their life as a stalker or a DV perpetrator. Sometimes it's a family dispute or a beef or something like that where they have a restraining order against somebody. Same issues apply. Is it still valid? Has it been served on the person who is being restrained? These are volatile situations. These people oftentimes don't follow the rules of the restraining order, the perpetrators. This involves a police response to your library to enforce the order. It is typically a misdemeanor arrest. And sometimes in some states, especially when I came from California, you could make an arrest for a misdemeanor, even though the crime was not committed in your presence. If you took the report and because the perpetrator was gone and you came back and you saw him, a day later or 2 hours later in the street, you could arrest for the restraining order violation. But it is one of those misdemeanors that oftentimes the police have to witness the violation to be able to go forward and make the arrest. It's not a bulletproof shield. It's not what we make promises for with restraining orders, but it does help enforce consequences. And it works really well for good rule followers. And sometimes we know these guys aren't the best rule followers in the world that get a restraining order. If it is against a patron, it is something that we want to enforce every time they make contact with our library in the organization. Phone calls, emails, threats, they show up when they're not supposed to. They try to come inside the library, call the police. If you do it episodically, and this goes to all restraining orders, you only call the police once in a while, the message to the person being restrained is I can try to get away with stuff, and it could turn into a dangerous or volatile situation. So domestic violence involving an employee, domestic violence involving a patron, or a kick-out or a stay-away order involving a patron who has been told to leave the library because of ban for certain criminal or sexual or high-risk behavior. So think about the efforts that you put into restraining orders. They work best when we enforce them every single time. And if you're not getting good satisfaction from the police, call and speak to the watch commander and say, look, here's what's going on. Restraining orders are typically organized and oriented from a library employee perspective or as a way to ban patrons through your library board lawyer or through your city attorney or county council. So you need good advice from them. And also the restraining order is best created when we have a security incident report collection of this person's behavior over the span of time to be able to say, this is why we're getting the order. So for Library20 and for the SafeLibrary.com, take a look at our YouTube page and take a look at our web pages. Happy to work with you and help you on training issues going forward. So for Auntie Layla, see you next time.